initiative that was regrettably abandoned by the St. Lucia Labour Party, the SLP. This decision by the SLP has left thousands of St. Lucians vulnerable with limited access to affordable, quality health care. The United Workers' Party will correct this injustice because we believe that health care is not a privilege, it is a fundamental human right that every citizen is entitled to. The National Health Insurance Program was designed to create a comprehensive, inclusive, and sustainable healthcare system that ensures no one is left behind or left out. And that is regardless of economic status. Under the leadership of the United Workers' Party, the NHI will be reinstated to provide the following benefits to St. Lucians. 1. Comprehensive health coverage. Every St. Lucian will have access to essential healthcare services, which includes doctor consultations, hospitalization, specialist care, diagnostic tests, maternity services, prescription medication, and emergency medical attention. No one will be denied care because of their inability to pay. Secondly, we'll reduce the financial burden. Too many families and individuals face the impossible choice between seeking medical care and meeting basic living expenses. The NHI will significantly reduce out-of-pocket expenses, making healthcare more affordable for all, especially for vulnerable groups like the elderly, children, low-income families, and single parents. 3. Timely and efficient medical attention. Long wait times and delayed treatments often result in worsened health outcomes. With the NHI, patients will receive timely care, preventing complications and reducing the strain on our already burdened healthcare system. Number 4, we will focus on preventative care. Preventative health care reduces long-term costs and improves quality of life. The NHI will cover preventative services such as routine checkups, screenings, immunizations, and health education programs to promote healthier lifestyles and reduce the prevalence of chronic lifestyle diseases. Number 5, strengthening the healthcare system. The NHI will provide the financial stability needed to upgrade medical facilities, invest in modern equipment, and improve the working conditions of healthcare professionals. This will enhance the overall quality of healthcare services across the island. And 6, peace of mind for all St. Lucians. Knowing that quality healthcare is always within reach and accessible provides a sense of security. Families will no longer live in fear of medical emergencies they cannot afford, and every child will have the opportunity to grow up healthy and strong. With the United Workers' Party, St. Lucians will certainly have a healthier future. The United Workers' Party has a proven track record of investing in St. Lucia's health sector, from improving hospital infrastructure to increasing the availability of medical resources. Our vision for St. Lucia includes a robust healthcare system where no citizen is left to suffer due to lack of accessibility or affordability. The abandonment of the NHI by the SLP was a betrayal of the people's trust, but under the United Workers' Party, we will restore this critical program because we believe in a St. Lucia where healthcare is accessible, affordable, and reliable for every citizen. When you vote for the United Workers' Party, you are voting for a healthier, stronger, and more secure St. Lucia. Your health is our priority, and we will deliver. A United Workers' Party government plans to change this situation. This crisis demands more than just words. It requires leadership action and solutions. As a government, we will take decisive steps to restore law and order, provide opportunities for our people, and take our communities back from crime and violence. We will do the following. 1. Empowering our youth with after-school and weekend programs. We will introduce holistic after-school and weekend programs that keep our youth engaged in sports, music, technology, and vocational training, providing positive alternatives to crime and idleness. Number 2, creating more economic opportunities. Many of our young men turn to crime due to lack of employment, and so we will work to ensure that we provide support to small businesses, create more entrepreneurial opportunities, and provide them with training programs to help individuals become more self-sufficient. 3, we will improve access to affordable housing. We believe that poor living conditions contribute to crime, and we will upgrade and develop affordable housing to provide solutions so that families can live in safer, more stable environments. 4, we will use technology to fight crime. We will invest in CCTV surveillance networks, smart street lighting, and crime detecting technology to help deter and solve crimes more efficiently. 5, revitalizing sports and community development. We will introduce and upgrade sports facilities across the island to fight crime. We will invest in CCTV surveillance networks, smart street lighting, and crime detecting technology to help deter and solve crimes more efficiently. 5, revitalizing sports and community development. We will introduce and upgrade sports facilities across the island and organize regular sporting competitions to keep our young men engaged in structured activities instead of turning to crime. And I say this given the fact that the opportunity for this to take place has been eroded by the squandering of the funds that should be used for youth and sporting activities from the National Lottery after guaranteeing a loan of $80 million and having the National Lottery to finance that loan with $80,000 monthly, leaving absolutely no resources to provide for those programs for young people. We will introduce youth rehabilitation and second chance programs. We will introduce rehabilitation programs for at-risk youth and for first-time offenders, giving them a chance to turn their lives around through education, skills training, and mentorship. A United Workers' Party government plans to change this situation. This crisis demands more than just words. It requires leadership action and solutions. As a government, we will take decisive steps to restore law and order, provide opportunities for our people, and take our communities back from crime and violence. We will do the following. 1. Empowering our youth with after-school and weekend programs. We will introduce holistic after-school and weekend programs that keep our youth engaged in sports, music, technology, and vocational training, providing positive alternatives to crime and idleness. Number 2, creating more economic opportunities. Many of our young men turn to crime due to lack of employment, and so we will work to ensure that we provide support to small businesses, create more entrepreneurial opportunities, and provide them with training programs to help individuals become more self-sufficient. 3, we will improve access to affordable housing. We believe that poor living conditions contribute to crime, and we will upgrade and develop affordable housing to provide solutions so that families can live in safer, more stable environments. 4, we will use technology to fight crime. We will invest in CCTV surveillance networks, smart street lighting, and crime detecting technology to help deter and solve crimes more efficiently. 5, revitalizing sports and community development. We will introduce and upgrade sports facilities across the island and organize regular sporting competitions to keep our young men engaged in structured activities instead of turning to crime. And I say this given the fact that the opportunity for this to take place has been eroded by the squandering of the funds that should be used for youth and sporting activities from the National Lottery after guaranteeing a loan of $80 million and having the National Lottery to finance that loan with $80,000 monthly, leaving absolutely no resources to provide for those programs for young people. We will introduce youth rehabilitation and second chance programs. We will introduce rehabilitation programs for at-risk youth and for first-time offenders, giving them a chance to turn their lives around through education, skills training, and mentorship.
In our last term, we built schools, upgraded health facilities, improved roads, and made life better for thousands of St. Lucians. We didn't just promise, we delivered. And now we're ready to finish what we started. Our next step is bold, but necessary. When elected, the United Workers' Party will introduce national health insurance so every St. Lucian can access quality health care no matter their socio-economic background. Because your health should never depend on your bank account. Let's continue the work. Let's secure your future. Vote UWP for a healthier, stronger St. Lucia.
Philip J. Pierre promised to protect St. Lucia, but instead he sold us out. He gave away Port Castries and the Soufrière waterfront to a foreign company, GPH, for 40 years. Over 1 billion EC dollars ripped from SLASPA, a St. Lucian institution owned and managed by us. Then he handed 4 billion EC of our citizenship by investment money to Galaxy, a Chinese company, for a hotel and a few roads that won't cost more than 500 million EC. Where's the rest of the money? Next, 200 million EC to a company labeled an International Criminal Organization, BMAX, to build just 66 low-income houses. That's $3 million per house. Now, Philip J. Pierre and Wayne Girard are creating a sovereign wealth fund where hundreds of millions of our dollars will be placed under the control of foreign businessmen handpicked by the minister. No transparency, no accountability, no St. Lucian oversight. While St. Lucians can't find jobs, while families can't make ends meet, Pierre gives away our money, our assets, and our future to foreigners. Pierre, Pabo.
They say unemployment is down, but what they're not telling you is how they're counting. In 2022, the Philip J. Pierre government changed the way unemployment is calculated. Now, If you haven't had a job in 3 months, they stop counting you altogether. Even worse, if you've received a one-time grant from the youth economy, you're certainly considered employed, even if you never started a business. Meanwhile, the real numbers tell a different story. Starfish and Mystic Hotels closed. That's 1,000 jobs gone. Morgan Bay Resort shut down for renovations for nearly 2 years. Another 400 jobs erased. And yet, they claim things are better. Unemployment hasn't gone down. They've just changed the rules to hide the truth. Pierre, Pabo.
Every St. Lucian deserves a safe, decent place to call home. But for too many, that dream feels out of reach. That's why a UWP government will launch a bold, affordable housing initiative. Because housing is not a luxury, it's a right. We'll use unused crown lands in every constituency, and when needed, purchase private lands to expand opportunities. We'll offer accessible financing so young people and low-income families can become proud homeowners. We'll partner with developers and ensure transparency, giving priority to first-time homeowners, young professionals, and those who need it most. Vote UWP. Let's build homes, let's build futures, let's build a stronger St. Lucia together.
Under the SLP, your St. Lucian passport now lasts only 5 years, cut in half what it used to. We've doubled the costs and doubled the hassle. Families, students, business people, travelers, everyone now pays the price for a decision that makes no sense. The United Workers' Party believes in making life easier, not harder. When elected, the UWP will restore your passport validity to 10 years because your time and money matter. Convenience, common sense, care for the people. Vote UWP. We'll bring back the 10-year passport. We'll also bring back good governance.
I want to challenge them. Who has done more for Soufrière from Dalso and François and now Emma for the people?
G6 Production.
Hey, Soufrière, Fosseja, Tansa, Aaron, tout le monde, Tansa, me connaître un Shinom, Herod qui best là. I know a lot of man, but Herod is the best one. Me connaître un Shinom, Herod qui best là. C'est lui qui best là, c'est lui qui best là. Listen, check the field, check the square. Herod not going nowhere. Take a walk by the waterfront police station, like the number one. That beach park, look at that. Boy, you not seeing that if you say Herod must go Ubuze, comme un coup de poteau. Me connaître un Shinom, Herod qui best là. I know a lot of man, but Herod is the best one. Me connaître un Shinom, Herod qui best là. C'est lui qui best là.
Malwat.
Why them Lucians so make them this?
Suipui. Some 2.5% HCSL thing is a tax vibe.
So what that have to do with people getting meg? But just now, to me them people paying VAT already.
Exactly. The tax is calculated on the cost of goods. So one time, the price go increase, Kuma. The Lucians end up paying more than 15%.
Mama!
Gasa, just imagine $100 go buy less groceries. People getting poor. Things like rent and utility bills go also increase, Gasa.
Real Malawi vibey?
All them things the people doing to stay healthy, like gym, healthy eating, and safety and security, go be harder to get because people ain't have money.
Partner, if them people ain't have enough money, they ain't go have leftover food for us to eat. The bins go be empty. Wow!
Things real happening to them Lucians. Look out for us again soon. We go show you all more.
St. Lucia is at a crossroads. Mismanagement, incompetence, and rising crime under the Philip J. Pierre administration have left us all struggling. But under Alan Chasney's leadership, our country flourished. Taxes were lowered, 17 health centers were upgraded, the OKE hospital opened, over $12 million in hospital bills were wiped clean, lifting a burden off of our people. Construction of the state-of-the-art St. Jude Hospital began, the forensic lab was reopened. Homicides were 25% lower than they are today. New schools were built, 30% of our roads rehabilitated, and sports facilities across the country received major upgrades, empowering our youth. He successfully led us through the COVID-19 pandemic, winning global recognition for St. Lucia's top care management. Alan Chasney, strong leadership to save our St. Lucia.
Life in St. Lucia has become unbearable. Every day, we feel the crushing weight of a government that's out of touch with the struggles of its people. They've collected millions in taxes on fuel, leaving us paying more for gasoline, cooking gas, kerosene, and diesel. And as if that wasn't enough, the Health and Security Levy has made everything more expensive, adding an additional 2.5% to the cost of goods and services. Bus fares have gone up, bread costs more, electricity, water, food, internet, even your mobile credit, it all costs more. For many St. Lucians, their paychecks don't stretch like they used to. Meanwhile, the government has reduced subsidies on flour, making basic necessities harder to afford. And while they raise prices on you, they've removed 700 people from the public assistance list, leaving our most vulnerable families with no support. St. Lucia is paying the price for a government that refuses to care. How much more can we take? How many more sacrifices must we make while they mismanage our country's finances? It's time to fight back, to stand up for our families, our future, and our country. No more excuses, no more broken promises. We can't afford to stay silent. The high cost of living is suffocating us, but together we can make our voices heard. St. Lucia deserves better. Pierre Pabo.
Senator Lisa Joahir, who also serves as the communications director for the St. Lucia Labour Party, continues to blatantly lie and deceive St. Lucians. In a recent press brief, the SLP spokeswoman tried to deny that St. Lucia's agriculture sector declined by 17% in 2023. These are the facts according to the 2023 Social and Economic Review, a document prepared by the Ministry of Finance. On page 32, the opening paragraph reads, "Based on preliminary estimates, the agriculture sector's real value added declined by 17% in 2023. It went further on pages 33 to 38 to highlight the decline in the various agriculture subsectors. Fishing production declined by 4.6%.
Today, 28th October, we have with us two of our candidates who will be making presentations. We have with us from the constituency of Dennery North, that is, we have Mr. Bradley Marcel Fulgence, who will be speaking on the subject of agriculture, a subject that seems to have been forgotten by our government. And of course, we have our deputy political leader from the constituency of Castries Southeast, Mr. Guy Joseph, who will also be speaking on the subject and will be touching on a few other areas, as well as providing us with a summary in the Creole language. Bon, avant nous aller plus loin, moi voulais tout le monde changer aujourd'hui à 28 octobre, c'est actuellement Journée Créole internationale. Parce que nous célébrons dimanche, ça pas veut dire c'est le dimanche qui est Journée Créole. Journée Créole, nous célébrons dimanche qui est plus près Journée Créole, mais aujourd'hui c'est véritablement Journée Créole. Pour ça, moi voulais féliciter en langue créole là, et pour dire bien bonjour et bienvenue pour tous Saint-Luciens qui ou l'autre pays et bien en Saint-Lucie. Avec nous assurer pour ces présentations nous gagnons aujourd'hui à bénéficier parce que nous avons parlé à ce sujet agricole. Avec nous avons aussi M. Guy Joseph qui a parlé à la langue créole là, qui a expliqué ça, M. Bradley Marcel Fulgence qui a dit. avec aussi qui touché à sur de l'autre sujet. So moi ka demander pour vous écouter parce que pour à présent moi ka mener ces présentateurs pour ça commencer press conference nous. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call firstly on Mr. Bradley Marcel Fulgence, our endorsed candidate for Dennery North, who will begin our press briefing.
Thank you, Mr. Montud. Good morning, members of the press and all our viewers. My fellow St. Lucians, for decades, the backbone of our nation has been the men and women who rise before the sun, our banana farmers. They toiled in the fields, rain or shine, not just for their families, but for our country. Their sweat built our communities, put children through school, and kept our economy alive when there was little else to depend on. But today, too many of these heroes are being left behind. Many of them, after years of service, find themselves without pension, without security, and without recognition. Some have passed away without ever receiving a cent of what they truly deserved. The United Workers' Party knows their pain. We've walked the farms, spoken to the families, and listened to their stories. We've heard from widows who struggle to buy food, from elderly farmers who can't afford their medication, and from children whose parents gave everything to the banana industry but were forgotten when times got tough. This is not justice. This is not fairness. And this is not the St. Lucia we believe in. That's why the United Workers' Party has launched the Save Our St. Lucia initiative, a bold and compassionate group of policies which includes bringing dignity back to our farmers. Under this plan, every banana farmer who dedicated years of their life to the industry but was unable to make contributions to the National Insurance Corporation will receive a monthly payment from the government. Yes, you heard right. Monthly payments, a steady income, a well-deserved thank you from the nation they helped to build. But our commitment doesn't stop there. We also recognize that some of our beloved farmers have passed away in the last 5 years. Their families have carried the weight of their sacrifice and struggles. The United Workers' Party will ensure family members of farmers who have passed within the last 5 years receive a one-time payment, a gesture of gratitude and remembrance for their loved ones' years of contribution. This is not charity. It is justice, long overdue justice for the people who fed this nation and kept our rural communities alive. Under the Save Our St. Lucia program, payments will be made directly through the Ministry of Agriculture in partnership with the NIC local farmers cooperatives. Clear, transparent system will ensure that no farmer is left out. This initiative is designed to be sustainable, accountable, and impactful, helping thousands of households across St. Lucia, especially in communities like Dennery, Micoud, Mabuya Valley, Sozel, Soufrière, Vieux-Fort, and Roseau Valley, where banana farming has been a way of life for generations. The UWP believes that development must start with fairness, that when you have given to your country must never forget you. This Save Our St. Lucia policy is more than just a financial plan. It's a statement of who we are as a people. It's about restoring dignity to those who gave their best years to this land. It's about supporting families who carried the spirit of hard work and faith. It's about building a fairer, more compassionate St. Lucia, where no one who has served our nation is ever left behind. Because we cannot save our future if we forget who built our past. While others talk about caring of people, the United Workers' Party is showing what care really looks like, with action, with compassion, and with policies that touch lives. We are not just talking about development. We are making sure it reaches you. We are not just speaking about growth. We are ensuring our farmers feel it in their pockets. And we are not just dreaming of a better St. Lucia, we are building it together. To every farmer who worked these hills and valleys, we see you, we honor you, and we will stand with you. To every family who lost a loved one, we remember them. Their labor will not be forgotten. This Save Our St. Lucia policy is a promise of fairness, dignity, and respect. A promise from the United Workers' Party to the people who made this island what it is. Let's save our St. Lucia together. Vote the United Workers' Party. Let's make it right. I thank you.
Thank you very much. And that was Mr. Bradley Marcel Fulgens, the endorsed candidate for Dennery North for the United Workers' Party, speaking on the farmers who seem to have been forgotten, neglected. That we are hearing now that the UWP has a deliberate policy to ensure that they honor and restore dignity to those farmers. But talking about neglect, there is a neglect of another kind that I want to just touch on as I read to you a press release from the United Workers' Party pertaining to the St. Lucia Labour Party's deliberate neglect of communities in this country. I'm talking about the completed community centers in Bexon, Blanchard, PI, Roblo that were all left closed for over 2 years now. The United Workers' Party strongly condemns the deliberate and politically motivated decision by the St. Lucia Labour Party government to keep the Bexon, Blanchard, PI, and Roblo community centers closed. Facilities that were constructed under the United Workers' Party administration and completed more than 2 years ago. These community centers were constructed to serve as vital hubs for learning, social engagement, and emergency response. Beyond providing space for youth development programs, adult training, and community meetings, each center was also designated as an emergency shelter, a critical role especially during the Atlantic hurricane season when many families depend on safe public spaces for refuge and protection. By keeping these centers shut, the government has not only denied communities access to essential facilities, but has also compromised the island's disaster preparedness capacity. This inaction is irresponsible, vindictive, and dangerous. It places politics above people's safety and welfare. Under the previous United Workers' Party administration, these centers were a part of a broader effort to empower communities through modern infrastructure, strengthen disaster resilience, and ensure that no St. Lucian is left behind in times of need. Today, these multipurpose facilities, built with taxpayers' money, sit abandoned. They are there deteriorating while the residents of Bexon, Blanchard, PI, and Roblo are left without access to safe spaces that could save lives. The United Workers' Party calls on the government to immediately open and operationalize these community centers. Every day that these buildings remain locked is another day the people are denied the benefits of infrastructure that was built for them, not for political showmanship. The United Workers' Party reaffirms its commitment to people-centered policies, to empowering communities, and to ensuring that the public facilities serve the public, especially at times of crisis. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a sad situation that we are calling on the government to address and to address immediately. Of course, as I said in the press release, we are about, that is the United Workers' Party, people-centered policies. You just heard Bradley Fulgens read to you what some of our policies are pertaining to the farmers. But I would now like to call on our Deputy Political Leader, Mr. Guy Joseph, who will also speak on the subject in our Creole language and will also touch on a few other matters that are of significance and interest to you. I would like to call on Mr. Guy Joseph, our next presenter.
Good morning to everyone. Bonjour pour tout le monde à Saint-Lucie et en l'autre pays qui a suivi commission à nous avouer bon matin à sous press briefing ça. Moi prends l'occasion ça pour souhaiter tout le monde une bonne journée créole. Content même si nous célébrons dimanche et dimanche c'est un bel jour. Nous car la terre même car regarder jour aujourd'hui. Pour raison ça moi kay espitier yon de ces bail là j'attends en créole. Moi voulais remercier Monsieur Bradley pour contribution ni bon matin pour ça y parler à bord parce que tout le monde qui sorti en vallée à Dennery et tout le monde qui sort en vallée cul-de-sac et roseau et ça sorti Mikou n'importe côté en Saint-Lucie that agricole te ka fait en pile travail là ou kay d'accord avec moi that c'est commune ça ka souffert en pile aujourd'hui because fig pas manière été encore et whole sector agriculture a encore affecté. Nous ka réaliser pour un pays qui te ka voé 100,000 tonnes fig l'Angleterre jodi nous pas avoir boîte fig l'Angleterre et question c'est est-ce la terre pas ka manger fig encore et c'est pour raison ça premier ministre nous dit nous manger plus fig. Est-ce que ça plan yo c'était nous pas kay quitter Jean Saint-Lucie voé fig l'Angleterre encore. Qui ça qui rive Fama fig en Saint-Lucie. Tout est abandonné. Et nous pas tant yon rapport from gouvernement as pour qui ça yo kay fait bay femme qui manière yo kay wanger situation bay ces femmes content monsieur Bradley Philgens dit pays ça a bâti à sous travail femme et nous tout savent ça l'autant moun qui ka levé avant soleil la levé c'est femme l'autant délai 4 bon matin yo ha levé yo ha fait gam yo et si long distance jardin yo te et ben pièce fig yo te yo ka parti bonnet moi vle Saint-Lucie changer c'est ce John qui te mette bagay en place pour fama te joindre FAR machine yo duty free les batte presque double sa net tant ça ou te ça on y joine machine de la porte duty free confirma les flambeaux vian gouvernement en 2006 aba monsieur Ezekiel Joseph comme ministre agriculture nous menen machine 4 la porte ou ça joine as FAR because ou teni ça nous couyer ou teni moun qui ka planter fleur ou teni zé ek bay kon ek a danser bay ça ek ça nous réaliser fama pate ça menen famille à bon machine ni because là on y a machine just décide yon pour chauffeur yon pour un passager si fama ça ni de chi pate ça même transport yo à bon FAR machine ni gouvernement flambeau ranger ça tout chimé qui fait pour fig en Saint-Lucie pour aller à sous femme majorité c'est chimé ça fait en bas gouvernement flambeau c'est les bas parti qui essaie pour détruire industrie fig là yo tié SLBJ et yo mette SLBC TQF tout yo forme combien yo en cause combien compagnie pour former ça diviser industrie fig là ek nou rodia Saint-Lucie pas ni figue encore. Saint-Lucie, gouvernement flambeau encore, a visité situation femme. Et content M. Bradley dit, Adam, ces plans nous présenter pour sauver Saint-Lucie. Yon Adam dit c'est pour Fama. Fama figue expressement. Gouvernement flambeau ka promet en pension by Fama figue. Now mwen vle ou changer. Laisse John te dit Fama yo kay ti anti la monnaie à sous chaque livre figue yo pour me à sans side pour pension yo. Labour Party a dit Fama pas faire ça. Gouvernement vle voler l'argent yo. Jodi a ces femmes pas une pièce pension. Mais même si ces femmes pas te payer NIC pour joindre en pension. Mais pour autant où yo travail pour bâtir pays ça aujourd'hui, gouvernement flambeau fait une décision that nous même kay mettre en pension en place by toute femme à figue en Saint-Lucie. Ek manière pension ça kay travail content monsieur Bradley dit nous kay travail avec NIC avec ces coopératives avec ces différents branches là en ministre agricole et ça nous kay essayer faire c'est mettre l'argent là et tout le monde kay savent combien l'argent qui là et chaque femme kay savent combien l'argent qui alloqué pour yo et tous les mois ou kay joindre anti pension pour des situations et des familles expressement pour ces grands monde qui pas en industrie figue là encore. Aussi nous pas juste garder ces femmes qui vivent. Nous avons visité l'année chaque famille from Covid pour venir à présent à chaque monde qui perd maman en famille. So si mari ou madame ou en ishou moun c'était un femme fig ek moun sa modi en dernier 5 années nous kay bay famille ça yon paiement pour aider mener un soulagement ba yo. So Saint-Lucie moi vle ou comprendre ça nous ka présenter là. Manière ou garder grand monde, grand citoyen en pays ni a chay pour faire et qui manière pays a ka marcher. Et c'est pour raison ça. Gouvernement monsieur Alan Chasney, partisan flambeau a ba conduite monsieur Alan Chasney jamais té ces bagailles en place quand nous gagne élection. Nous kay commencer travailler à sous l'argent nous kay met à sans side pour nous ça commencer paiement pour pension by ces femmes. Ek moi vle comprendre ça nous ja parlé about nom qui kay pêcher nom qui pêcher kay la mer pour garder qui manière nous ça ajouter yo. Mais on est pour commencer à côté et côté à nous ka commencer c'est avec ces femmes figue là. Mais nous plan nous même c'est pour plus tard pour mettre plus monde qui kay joindre assistant from gouvernement en ces bail ça. So moi ka di c'est moun femme pas fait tête ou fait mal about qui ça qui kay passer. Because à part de ou kay joindre pension changer nous ka met health insurance en place ba. Si on est tiish qui ka aller sa Alpha Louis Community College ou pas kay ni pour payer tuition ba yo ça en bas plan flambeau encore nous kay baisser prix gaz ni cooking gas et ni gaz pour machine nous kay tirer 2% et demi health and security levy that Labour Party met sous tout ça kay mène soulagement Ek pou moun ki pa ka jwen dlo from Roseau Dam, nou kay tiye 10% dredging fee a 10% fee l'ajan yo me asou build low. So mwen ka kwe tout moun an vali a kay benefis from sa pou desan pou fe tout moun pou ay pa soufouye paske se moun sa pa ka jwen dlo from Dam Roseau. So le ou gade se plan sa dat nou ka prezante la ba ou. Ek ou sav le nou te promet 5 to stay alive, 5 pou ete vivan, nou delivre asou sa. Ek kou sa nou ka promet ou se 7 diferent bagay sa ki kay menen soulajman bay Jean Saint-Lisi, ki kay wen de situasyon flambeau kon sa Philippe J. Pierre kouye eleksyon ek ou vot ban nou kay delivre asou se bay sa ba ou. Now, asou lot sije nou vle parle about. La verite se un bay ki important an chay. Ek mwen vle touche 2 points asou from Livlad, the lies we believe. Se manchons la nou ka kwe. Ek tan sa di an chapit 10 an liv sa. I di the truth about the truth. La vérité about la vérité. Seek the truth. Listen to the truth. Teach the truth. Love the truth. Abide by the truth. And defend the truth. And that is a quote from John Huss. Proverbs 23:23 says, buy the truth and do not sell it. Wisdom, instruction, and insight as well. Now I want to say to St. Lucia today, no matter how many times you repeat a lie and how many persons believe it, it is still a lie and it is not transformed to the truth because people repeat it and people believe it. The position or status of a person making a statement does not change the fact as to whether it is truth or whether it is a lie. So même si ou répété ba yon 1000 kou ek tout moun kwe si sa sa mensonge, it still say a mensonge. Même si ou kwe sa pa ka fey la vérité. I want to pause a moment and acknowledge our brothers and sisters in Jamaica as we see the impact of Hurricane Melissa, which is at this moment hitting Jamaica. I want to let our Caribbean colleagues over there, our brothers and sisters in Jamaica know that our thoughts and prayers are with you as you battle out this very dangerous hurricane, which was packing winds, the last that I saw, of 175 miles an hour. That is indeed a dangerous hurricane, and we wish everyone that they would go through this storm in the best way possible, take all the precautionary measures that are necessary to save life and property, most of all to save lives. So we will continue to monitor and we will continue to pray that God watches over Jamaica even in the midst of this hurricane. Now, nous ka parle about la vérité un petit moment qui passé. Ek mwen koute an interview Monsieur Jason Siffley, an interview between Jason Siffley and Lancelot Arnold. He's the general manager for GPH in the Eastern Caribbean. It is interesting to listen to people try to dissect the St. Lucianness and what they do as a so-called St. Lucian, and trying to justify and explain why they are not a sellout. I have some news for Mr. Jason. If you want to be a PRO for the Labour Party, declare your hand. Do not come and pretend to be some news reporter asking tough questions when it's marshmallow questions you asking of a report or of a GM or a CEO. I will ask some questions and I will answer some questions this morning. And I've listened to the interview, at least the part that you played. So here's what was said in the interview. Jason asked Arnold, did the government sell out the ports for $1? The response in part was, he is bound by a non-disclosure agreement. So if you are bonded by a non-disclosure agreement, sa pala about la. How can you have a non-disclosure agreement and yet still you pretending to answer questions? So the questions you cannot answer, I will answer them. So what is he saying if he cannot say what the agreement is? So he said, I cannot speak to what happened before 2023 because I came in 2023. He said the pot was not sold for $1. He said that. Arnold kept on saying in the interview, we. Most of the times when he used the word we, I did not understand whether he was speaking about we as a St. Lucian or we as the CEO or the GM of GPH. So, Mr. Jason, I will tell you some of the real questions you can ask. And what a real journalist does is probe and ask questions, not give leading questions where you giving part of the answer yourself on behalf of the person. He also said it's a better agreement. I want to ask them, was there an agreement before? Because for you to have a better agreement means that there must have been an agreement before. So, est la ten agreement avant? So, Monsieur Jason Made, est yo van pot la pou $1? Now, here's what Mr. Arnold said. We did not sell the pot for $1. I disagree with that answer. That answer is not truthful. And I don't just come and speak. I come with my documents. So, the leaser is Charles III. That's King Charles of England, the crown. The leasee is GPH. Now, this is a copy of a land register. And I want you to understand what that means. The land register says nature of title. And the nature of the title is leasehold. Now, we have many lawyers in St. Lucia, but we don't need lawyers alone. You can go on AI or go on Google and find out what leasehold means. So, it says on the property section, name and address of proprietor. GPH St. Lucia Limited. Now, before they say I am giving you wrong information, let me be clear. The definition for leasehold, property is owned for a fixed period of time via a lease agreement with a landlord. So a leasehold is not the same as somebody renting a piece of land from you or renting a house from you. So let nous parler about leasehold agreement. The property change ownership under the leasehold agreement. Pas moi qui by definition. C'est pas moi qui matche loi. It is a leasehold. Property is owned for a fixed period of time via a lease agreement with a landlord. You own a leasehold property for a fixed period of time. So, if GPH is the leasehold owner and the land is registered to GPH, I want Mr. Arnold and Mr. Jason Seafley to come and clear the air on the information that you gave to St. Lucia, which is questionable. Then he went on to say, they did not sell the land for $1. They did not sell the ports. Again, I have the GPH agreement. Leased by Charles III to GPH for the rental amount of $1 payable annually. So si yo chebe te a pou 40 l'année, yo ka pay $40. And they own it for the next 40 years. At the end of the 40 years, it will return to the original owner. Now, I don't know if these people are Jewish, but I know where these laws operate from. I've always told you I'm a Bible man. So when the children of Israel inherited Canaan, the promised land, they were never supposed to lose their property, but if they went into financial difficulty, what they would do is they would sell the land. And every year there was the year of Jubilee. I heard the church celebrating the year of Jubilee this November. So every 50 years was the year of Jubilee, and at the end of 50 years, the land would revert to the original owner. So if 25 years of the year was the last year of Jubilee, you would sell the land for a price that the person could have it only for 25 years. And at the end of 25 years, it would revert to the original owner. So what the government of St. Lucia has done is they have sold the port to GPH for $1 a year for 40 years. Because the ownership is with them. They are the leasehold. There is a land register. Est la ou ka loue te bayan moun? Est ou ka y fe papye te ou asou non moun? La ou ka loue kay bayan moun? Ou ka fan rental agreement, ou ka fan contract ek moun na, that ou ka loue kay la bayo, ou pa ame kay ou asou non moun na, ou ka loue bay la. But that is what has happened. So I want Lancelot Arnold and Jason Seafley to come again and explain the bogus information given to us there, or the unclear information given to us. So If you understand what it means, now you will tell me lease and you will tell me, si ou ka loué an whole lawad, côté bâtiment rentoué, ou ka loué pour $1 par l'année? $1 américain par l'année? So, let us examine some additional things that they said. So, Mr. Lancelot Arnold, you are bound by a non-disclosure agreement. I am not bound by any non-disclosure agreement. I am bonded to tell the people of St. Lucia the truth. So you say you cannot speak for what happened before 2023. You are not there. I will tell you some of the things that happened. Now, you know what further compromises that agreement? I want you to see it so that you understand I am not giving you wrong information. This is dated the 30th day of April 2024. Land Registration Act Cap 5.01 of the Revised Laws of St. Lucia, Section 45. And Registration Quarter, Urban Castries, Map Sheet 0848D, Parcel Number 181. Here is a part of the agreement they have never told us about. Yodi Olwe Lawad La by GPH for 30 years with an option to renew for 10 years. So most of us would believe that from the date of signing the agreement and the handover that was done to GPH, that the 30 years began. That is what we were of the view. But here's what the agreement says. And I will read the whole of section 6 so that you understand. In consideration of the rents hereby revised and the observance of the covenants on the part of the lessee hereafter contained, the lessor hereby demise unto the lessee the immovable property particularly described in the schedule hereafter called the demise premises. Now here's what it says. Here's the interesting part. To hold the same unto the lessee for a term of 30 years, beginning with the construction completion date as defined in the CA, the commercial agreement. Now, so it means I don't know what the commercial agreement says, so I can only go on the documents that I have here. It means that all the time GPH has been collecting money on the port, the 30 years have not started. So si construction na yo ka fe la apre 10 years pou fini, it is at the end of the 10 years that the 30 years begins. So you start counting the 30 years at the end of the construction period. What kind of madness is this? What kind of agreement the Prime Minister, Stephenson King, and Ernest Hille and the cabinet of ministers went into? St. Lucia, I want you to pay attention. That is not the first time this has happened in St. Lucia under the Labour Party. I want to remind you of Grindberg. You know what the deal with Grindberg was? While we signed an agreement, or the Labour Party government signed an agreement with Grindberg, you know what happened? The agreement did not come into effect until the boundaries of St. Lucia was demarcated, the boundaries of the ocean. And it took many years because there were disputes on where the boundaries were marked out. So that is why Grindberg was able to sit on the ownership of the seabed for years, not do anything, and the government of St. Lucia could not do anything about it. You would think that the Labour Party would have learned something from that. And if you go into an agreement, you would have a fixed time period. I'm reading it again. To hold the same unto the lessee for a term of 30 years, beginning from the construction completion date. So, when is the construction completion date? How many years will GPH be building on the port, collecting our revenue from the ports, yet still the agreement has not even taken effect? Saint Lucien, mwen vlo kopan. Ek misye a di, misye anol di, yo pa van ni pou $1. Avye read. Encore. The rent payable shall be for a peppercorn rate of $1 per annum. Whole Howard Castry Louis pour $1. $1. Now you will tell me, but guy, you saying rent and you saying sold. I am saying to you, the rent is not a regular rent, it is a leasehold. And the leasehold says that the property is transferred. So GPH owns the property for the next 40 years. And if they take 5 years to do the construction or 10 years to do the construction, they have that additional 10 years. So there we were thinking by 2054 we would be out of that agreement. That agreement can go until 2075 before we get back. Now, like I said, I don't have what the commercial agreement is. So c'est bavard qui toujours a sous TV léger di oswea. Vini a commercial agreement like di Saint Lucien qui sa qui en le commercial agreement la. Because St. Lucia, we have a responsibility as an opposition to bring the truth to you. Now, if the 30 years have not begun, when will it begin? So we can have GPH on the backs of St. Lucians if Labour Party remains in office until 2075 or 2060, depending on how long they take. No wonder the Prime Minister Philip JPS said he will not be around by the time these things come back to St. Lucia. I want to give you further information because they said that's such a great deal for St. Lucia. Well, let me tell you, because let me tell you what the documents I have, and if they have a different agreement, let them come with it. So, I want to give you the title of the document, Request for Government of St. Lucia, ANC Port and ANC Ports Authority, SLASPA, to enter into agreement with Global Port Holdings Limited for the redevelopment of cruise operation of Port Castries. And here's what the proposal says. Commence an analysis. Here's what it says. The concession agreement makes provision for an increase in the cruise passenger charge. It is important to note that the cruise passenger charge has not been increased since 1984. The cruise passenger charge would then be increased at a rate no higher than the U.S. Consumer Price Index every year in the case where there is a negative charge in the USCIP, the cruise passenger charge will remain the same. Se apre yo hosei, yo ka di toule l'année, l'année a possibility that it can increase plea. Now, me say somewhere will pay attention to. Section 3.4. As part of the concession agreement, Global Port Holdings St. Lucia Limited will pay the government of St. Lucia through SLASPA a concession fee of $1 per person for the first 7 years of the agreement. My understanding is they revise it to the first 6 years of the agreement, and then after the end of the 6 years, the government of St. Lucia will get $1.50 US per person. Now, it says Cabinet is invited to note that Global Port Holdings Limited will collect the cruise passenger fee on behalf of SLASPA and remit the proceeds of the tax to SLASPA every quarter and no later than 30 days after the quarter has ended. So imagine, GPH ka collect l'argent by SLASPA. Ek yo ka chebe l'argent pour 3 mois. Ek yo nan whole lot mois sous ça. So c'est tous les 4 mois yo ni pour buy SLASPA l'argent yo collect from first month. Now everyone who is a business person, everyone who understands business, cash flow is what keeps a business going. When you owe a worker, if you sell in parts, you can't give the worker a door and tell them, mi pre la porte moto ka sa pou paiement simen sa. You have to have cash. So imagine GPH is getting to collect the money that SLASPA needs to run its operations, can hold the money for 4 months, and then give SLASPA the money. So GPH gets to use the money that belongs to SLASPA for its own cash flow, and at the end of 4 months will give the money to SLASPA. What kind of government would go into an agreement like this? Eki hanla ne GPH ka collect l'argent la. Kome kou SLASPA zajwen pi? I want you to understand why this is such a bad deal. And Jason wants to come and have a discussion with Lancelot Arnold to do PR for the Labour Party. These are questions that I expect Philip J. Pierre, Stevenson King, and Ernest Hille and the Cabinet of Ministers to come and answer for the people of St. Lucia. Because I have the Cabinet conclusion of the things that Cabinet granted to GPH. It is Cabinet conclusion number 246D of 2024, dated the 8th of April 2024. Application by GPH Limited for tourism incentives. But tan ada se buy la, you buy GPH la. St. Lucia, I want you to understand, no St. Lucian company gets these kinds of things. 100% exemption from payment of income tax for a period of 30 years commencing January 15, 2024 until January 2054. St. Lucie utan sangadi la. So yo pa pay pièce income tax en St. Lucie pour 30 l'année. Après yo ka fait tout l'argent ça, yo pa contribute des sous pour tax St. Lucie. Ça c'est deal là that Labour Party by GPH. Ek Lancelot Arnold ou vle vin di ou say St. Lucian first. If you are St. Lucian first, you had, and that's what you do to St. Lucia, you had better not be a St. Lucian. We would have been better if you are not a St. Lucian. I will continue to tell you what they say in the agreement. Pursuant to Section 130, Section 1 of the Income Tax Cap 1502, 100% exemption from payment of withholding tax for a period of 30 years commencing 15th January 2024 and ending January 2054 on the repatriation of profits, dividends, interest, mortgage, repayment of mortgages, capital investments on overseas rendered services by GPH Limited and any third-party lender or financier of the project. This incentive will be subject to the approval of the list of the third-party lenders by the Ministry of Finance. Now, ba expliquer ça ba wan ti manye pou comprendre. Sa yo ka di la, c'est GPH sa pran loan l'Amérique. Ek yo sa pren l'argent from St. Lucie, yo pa paye pièce taxe asui. Ek voye pou paye loan nan l'Amérique, en ben l'Angleterre, en ben Dubai, en ben n'importe kotan la terre. Yo sa employé moun pour travail ba yo l'Amérique, en ben n'importe part en la terre. Eki, yo ka hen tax free pour prendre l'argent ici et voyer ces places ça pour payer ces moun ça et ça ka sorti qu'on dépense à sous project St. Lucie même si c'est l'autre pays ces moun na ka travail ou ka di moi cabinet ministers assises après GPH pa menan rien ban nous St. Lucie yo hen la wad nous ha corporate ha ka faire l'argent now moi do about $1 Slaspa te jaka fait $6 et 50 cents par passager. Ou couper ça pour $6 et 50 cents là et ou accepter $1 et ou bayo droit pour hausse pour ya pour $12. So GPH ka hen $10, Slaspa ka jwen $1 et Solid Waste ka jwen $1 et 50 cents. Now c'est pas ça yon qui mauvais. Yo mande Monsieur Arnold, est-ce Slaspa qui ni responsabilité pour maintenir porte là? Il dit non. C'est pas ça. Ay ba sa agreement là dit encore signature Monsieur Stevenson King qui asui. That is the report, the note that went to cabinet for approval. Here's what it says. Slaspa under section 5 on page 4, Roman numeral 5. For those of you not sure what Roman numeral 5 is, the V. Okay? It says Slaspa is required to maintain the cruise infrastructure over the life of the concession period. This includes dredging and other maintenance works that it will be required to undertake. The recommendation, it is strongly recommended that the revenue sharing agreement provides Slaspa with sufficient revenue to cover these expenses. So let me say Arnold Vindu c'est pas Slaspa qui pou maintain. Est yo sa moutwe nou a different agreement qui ka di nou c'est pas Slaspa qui pou maintain. Les lettres là qui a le cabinet, the note to cabinet for approval was Slaspa is to maintain. And here is how I know that Slaspa is maintaining. Because they make us believe, and I will be rounding off, they make us believe that this is such a good deal. But St. Lucia, when our eyes will be opened after the next election, when UWP wins the election, we will reveal everything. If by some miracle Labour wins the election, everybody will see how bad things will be at the port. because pamen taxi driver ki kay sala support la. And there are a couple bills being discussed in the parliament today. I will not preempt it, but by next week, I will come and show you the bills that are passing in parliament, what it is designed for, and who is going to benefit from it. But I want to say this. Monsieur Arnold Dinu, you paid debt Slasper $17 million in the interview. You remember months ago, I told you that the deal was $45 million. There was a debt of $22 million for Slasper, but they were only paying 17, and $28 million would be used to develop the port. And I told you at $10 a head, 1 million passengers a year, in 3 years they would make the 30 million. If you go to previous press briefings, you would see that I gave all of that information. So it's been proven today again that what I said, that they only paid 17 out of the 22 million, was right, because Arnold himself said it. Now, let me give you a plug in there for NIC. The loan was taken from NIC. GPH paid the loan, which means NIC lost out on all of this interest and went and take a loan from a bank. So the bank is now making the money rather than the pensioners in this country. Fortunately, St. Lucia is a small country and we get information. So my information reveals today that to repair the North Wharf, Ballas Nedam has been given a contract to repair the North Wharf in the range of $35 to $40 million. And my information is that Slasper is the one who had to take the loan to repair the North Wharf. Now let's pause here for a moment. If that is the case, Slasper had a loan of $22 million and it was servicing the loan when it was getting $6.50 per head per passenger. The Labour Party made us believe that was too much debt for Slasper. So they were going to make Slasper debt-free, so they gave GPH the debt and they gave GPH all the revenue except $1. But now Slasper is required to take a loan of in the region of 40 million US dollars, not EC dollars. And now they're only collecting $1 per head that they will get every 4 months. So where is Slasper going to get the money to service that loan that they are taking? And you are telling me there are board of directors of Slasper. There are people who are there as not as political appointees, but as people based on the status and the position that they occupy. And everybody is keeping quiet. Nobody is telling St. Lucia what is happening. The United Workers' Party have to search high and low to get information to bring the truth to the people of St. Lucia. So if the North Wharf is being repaired, the North Wharf is strictly for cruise operations. Why isn't GPH, who's getting the $10, why are they not the ones taking the loan to repair the wharf? The North Wharf. You know where the North Wharf is? The strip coming from La Place Carinage coming down. We have not even spoken about the other section where Shed 6 is, and that whole building is sinking. So, you remove SLASPA from a debt of $17 million and you put them in a debt of $40 million and you tell me that's good governance? I want the average businessman, I want the average St. Lucian to understand. When SLASPA was making $6.50, you said that was too much debt for SLASPA to service a $20 million loan. But now you take the $6.50 away from them, you give them $1 and you cause them to go and take a loan of $40 million. Tell me how that makes sense, St. Lucians. That is why we need a change in government, so that we can take back ownership of podcasteries. And we have told you, the day UWP gets into office, first set of people that better be in St. Lucia is GPH, because we are going to renegotiate this deal. And you know what Lancelot Arnold said? Only two pods they're responsible for: Soufrière and Castries. Yet still the damage that was done at Soufrière Port, how many months ago, has not been touched. Why? So St. Lucia, we have brought it to you again. We are telling you again that this Labour Party is selling out the country. And that leasehold agreement is like a sale. GPH owns the port for the next at least 40 years. Go and do your research. Go and find out what leasehold is, and you will understand that the information that Lancelot and Jason tried to give us is hogwash. This is not reliable information. I have given you information, and I have given you the registered documents in St. Lucia. I've read you the cabinet conclusion. I've showed you from the land registry. I have given you the definition of what leasehold is. The truth remains the truth. Whether you choose to believe it or not, it is the truth, and GPH is a rip-off for St. Lucia, and a UWP government will fix that. I thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much. We just heard Mr. Guy Joseph, our endorsed candidate for Castries Southeast, and the deputy political leader of the United Workers' Party, as he delved into the issue of agriculture, as well as some other current issues that are taking place in this country today, and all of the dishonesty that passes for government on issues of national interest. But before we end, I have another press release again of another very disturbing development that is taking place in this country with our ministers of government. And I will just read to you this press release, coming from the United Workers' Party. The United Workers' Party strongly condemns the recent verbal attacks and intimidation by Ministers Richard Frederick and Ernest Hilaire against members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force who were simply carrying out their lawful duties. The UWP is deeply concerned that two senior members of the cabinet would seek to publicly undermine, threaten, and discredit police officers whose only offense was to perform their responsibilities without fear or favor. These reckless outbursts by sitting ministers not only erode public confidence in law enforcement, but also set a dangerous precedent suggesting that government officials are above the law. At a time when our nation faces rising crime and insecurity, the last thing St. Lucia needs is for ministers of government to attack the very men and women who risk their lives daily to maintain order and protect citizens. Such behavior is unacceptable, unbecoming of leaders, and constitutes an abuse of office. The United Workers' Party stands firmly in solidarity with the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and every officer committed to upholding justice and the rule of law. We therefore call on the Prime Minister, Philip J. Pierre, who also serves as Minister for National Security, to immediately address and denounce the behavior of his ministers. Silence in the face of such misconduct would amount to complicity. The people of St. Lucia expect better, and ministers must be held to a higher standard of accountability and must not use their positions to bully, threaten, or embarrass public officers who serve with integrity. The United Workers' Party will continue to advocate for a St. Lucia where the rule of law is respected, law enforcement is supported, and no one, regardless of position or political affiliation, is above the law. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the point now where we are going to bring to a close our press briefing. We want to thank all of you who were tuned in, especially those of you on live stream from the diaspora, and all of you around St. Lucia who tune in on a regular basis to find out what is going on in your beloved country. And we want to wish all of you a very good week. Please bear in mind that on Thursday, we have another episode of Meet the Opposition, as some like to call it, Meet the Government in Waiting, where we will have some young people on the program discussing matters pertinent to national development and the future of our youth, as well as they will be speaking on the upcoming youth rally that is going to take place on Sunday, the United Workers' Party National Youth Rally. And of course, for those of you who follow us on a weekly basis with our Sunday Live, the National Youth Rally will be streamed live, and so that will be taking the place of our normal Sunday Live. I want to thank you once again and ask that you continue to tune in to the United Workers' Party, where we deal with the truth and of matters with matters that are of interest and concern to you St. Lucians. Comme on a fait même, on voulait remercier tout le monde qui a écouté press briefing ça là, ça c'est press briefing là nous avons tous les semaines United Workers' Party. Nous avons demandé tout le monde pour garder pour jeudi, là nous avons Meet the Opposition, nous avons des jeunes gens avec nous qui ont discuté sujet qui a affecté les jeunes monde aussi bien qu'on l'autre bagay qui a affecté le pays. Avec dimanche, nous avons un grand National Youth Rally, UWP a été ça, et ça a prend place en Mikou South, avec en place normale Sunday Live là nous avons mené un Youth Rally côté où Kaisatan ça c'est jeunes gens ni pour dire à sous sujet qui a affecté jeunes monde dans pays avec ça partisans United Workers Party a fait pour assistance jeunes monde en tant qu'il a venu. Encore moi voulais souhaiter tout le monde une bonne semaine ni une bonne journée créole hodia avec changer toujours écouter ces commissions qui a sorti avec United Workers Party. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you once again and to wish that you enjoy the rest of your day and indeed the rest of your week. Thank you very much.